Hello and welcome to another podcast of the Gospel Rescue Mission. Today we're talking about why should you hire from the Gospel Rescue Mission, or why should you rent to a Gospel Rescue Mission resident. Oftentimes I am asked to support a charity, and I'm not always in a position where I've got a lot of spare change and things to give, but there are things that I can do that really make a difference. And one way that we can do that, is, especially if you are an employer, is to consider employing a Gospel Rescue Mission resident. Or if you are a landlord and you could possibly rent to a Gospel Rescue Mission resident, these are ways that you could support them and the mission, but it really doesn't require sending any money. And so that's a nice option. And here's another thing to consider, is that your support goes directly, by doing it this way, your support goes directly to the person in need. And so what's not getting taken out of that support is any administration costs and building repairs and all this kind of stuff. Your donation, all of it, in the hiring of a resident or in the renting a room to a GRM resident, is going directly to the person who actually needs the help. 100% of that is going to them. So that's an exciting way of donating to any organization, when you know that, boy, everything that I'm giving is going straight to the person in need. Another thing to consider is that by the time a resident of the Gospel Rescue Mission qualifies to either look for work or housing, they've done a substantial amount of work. One of the things that they've done is they've just remained sober for a really good long period of time. So if addiction and addiction recovery is part of why they came to the mission, well, you've got a really great chance this person is ready to give a clean UA. Drugs and alcohol have been substantially moved into their past, and they've really succeeded well at their time here at the mission, which means that they're really ready. They've put in that time. They've also had time working with and considering others in their living environment. So you realize that the Gospel Rescue Mission life for a resident is dormitory living. It's, for the men's house, it can mean living with as many as about 75 other men. And for the women's house, it can be as many as some combination of 60 women and children. So it could be 30 women and 30 kids. It could be 25 women and 35 kids. It could be any combination of all of the above. And as anybody knows, living in those kinds of conditions can really push on your nerves, really test your people skills, really force you to consider, I can't just leave a towel out or make a mess that somebody else isn't going to come along and is going to affect them. These folks, by the time they're ready to look for work, or by the time they're ready to even look for housing, they've spent a lot of time, sometimes 6 months, sometimes a year, really getting through that process and succeeding at it. So we've worked with them. Their social skills have really improved during their time here. Their ability to deal with the pressures of working with other people has already improved. And so I know for a lot of employers, those are exactly the soft skills that they're looking for in a worker. They need to know that they can get along with other people, with the rest of their team. So when you're giving to them, what's happening is that you're giving them a chance at change. You're reinforcing the idea that the past mistakes don't have to define you. And we tell them this from the moment they walk into the Gospel Rescue Mission. And it's one thing to hear it from us, but it's another thing for them to hear it to see it and feel it from that person who gives them a chance. They've been told the lie that, boy, my mistakes, I've made so many, and no one will ever forgive me, and nothing will ever change. I will always forever be defined by whatever that past mistake is. Maybe I've got a felony on my record. Maybe I've wrecked a marriage or my family or something. Maybe I've got a drunk driving, violation, or maybe many of them along the way. By by the time that somebody is ready at the mission, a resident is ready to go out and look for work and look for housing, they've put substantial time in and really tremendous effort at correcting those things, at walking away from that thing in the past. And I think that as an employer, and myself, and just as a community member, I also recognize that, golly, I don't want to have the world measuring me by all my past mistakes all the time. Nobody wants to carry around a scarlet letter or a dunce cap everywhere they go, saying, "Hey, these are the mistakes that the guy wearing this T-shirt has all made in their life." And I don't want to live that way. And I think that when we allow other people to work with us and around us, and we don't treat them that way, and we don't constantly define them by their mistakes, what it does is it just reinforces that very gospel message that says, look, all things are made new in Christ, that you become a new creation. And so we help to minister to them by continuing to reinforce that information. And then, of course, that's also telling them that we believe that change is possible, that they can change. They need to believe along the way that they can change. And by giving them a chance to come work for us, to come live in our rental or whatever, we're saying, I believe that change can happen, and I believe in the change that you're doing right now. And in the end, what that ultimately does is that helps to provide hope. And a lot of times that's exactly the thing that we struggle the hardest with at the front end of the door of the Gospel Rescue Mission, is getting somebody who's coming in hopeless and broken and dejected and rejected by everybody around them to say, hey, look, you know what, there's hope. You don't have to be defined by your past, and you can be something better than what you've been. And boy, isn't that what we want for everybody who's ever made mistakes? Isn't that what we want them to believe? I think that is, and I think that that's really the message of the gospel as well, is that, look, you're not doomed because of the things that you've done. You're doomed if you stay in them and continue to live in them. But if you are ready to embrace change, that change can really happen. And it happens all the time here at the Gospel Rescue Mission. And when it happens best for us, we know that we don't do it by ourselves. We know that it takes people like you, employers, people like you, landlords and landladies, property management, people who are willing to go out there and say, okay, this guy, this gal may not have the best history, but the recent history tells me this person's ready to change because they've put in the time that it takes at the Gospel Rescue Mission to show that they've made it to the place of readiness to go out and look for work or to go out and look for housing. And we don't take that lightly. We don't allow somebody to go look for those things right away or what we would say prematurely during their time here. We make them, it's a very rigorous program, and you can ask any of them, how hard was it for you during your stay at the mission? None of them will say it was easy. Many of them will say it was very hard. All of them will say it was worth it, and that they're growing through that process. And so, again, this is why I think you should hire residents from the Gospel Rescue Mission when they come to you and fill out employment applications. And when you see 530 Southwest Foundry or 540 Southwest Foundry as their address, you know that comes from the Gospel Rescue Mission in Grants Pass. And they're not just sending anybody to my doorstep. They're sending very qualified, ready-to-work people. That's the kind of people we want. We want to take people out of the cycle of need and dependency, and with your help, we'll help them get to that place of independence. You can play a profound role in that process by giving them a chance, by taking a chance on them. And so if you're one of those people that's already done that, if you're one of the many, many employers or landlords who've opened your doors, opened your shops, opened your businesses, and trusted our residents into your business like that, first of all, let me just tell you thank you. That has been so helpful, and you have been a key player in the success of our residents at the Gospel Rescue Mission. But if in fact you haven't yet given it a shot, I would encourage you, in fact, I would just implore you, please consider it. Prayerfully consider, what can I do? How can I help? I don't have a whole lot of money, but I need a dishwasher today. I don't have a whole lot of money, but boy, I would sure like to get a tenant in that room, and it's an affordable place, and I want somebody that I can trust. Give us a call here at the Gospel Rescue Mission. We can make recommendations from our resident population. We can certainly help out and make sure that you have somebody that is ready, and if as ready as anybody else you're going to have that comes knocking on your door. I promise you that. And anyways, that's the long and short of what I had for you today. I got to tell you, I am so grateful that you take the time to listen to these podcasts. I really appreciate your involvement in the community. And here's some things you can also do to help. If any of this stuff resonates with you, if you're hearing this stuff and you think, man, I know people that need to hear this, would you do this? Would you share the link to this podcast, or would you share the podcast itself with somebody else who needs to hear it? Would you tell them about it? You can find us on grantspassmission.org on the web. You can find us on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're all over the place. We have a YouTube channel. Check us out, the Grants Pass Gospel Rescue Mission, which is found at grantspassmission.org. Again, thank you so much. If you can donate finances, we can always use it. If you can donate time, your talents, any of those things, we sure appreciate it. And again, I thank you from the bottom of my heart here at the Gospel Rescue Mission. God bless and have a great day.